vipachinayam kutachin na vibhuva kashchit. Ajo nitya savato yam purno na hayante hayanmane sarye. Kathopanishad 1-18. The meaning and purport of this verse is the same as in the Bhagavad Gita, but here in this verse there is one special word, vipashchit, which means learned or with knowledge. The soul is full of knowledge, or full always with consciousness. Therefore, consciousness is the symptom of the soul. Even if one does not find the soul within the heart, where he is situated, one can still understand the presence of the soul simply by the presence of consciousness. Sometimes we do not find the sun in the sky owing to clouds, or for some other reason. But the light of the sun is always there, and we are convinced that it is there, therefore daytime. As soon as there is a little light in the sky early in the morning, we can understand that the sun is in the sky. Similarly, since there is some consciousness in all bodies, whether man or animal, we can understand the presence of the soul. This consciousness of the soul is, however, different from the consciousness of the Supreme, because the Supreme Consciousness is all knowledge past, present, and future. The consciousness of the individual soul is prone to be forgetful. When he is forgetful of his real nature, he obtains education and enlightenment from the superior lessons of Krishna. But Krishna is not like the forgetful soul. If so, Krishna's teachings in Bhagavad Gita would be useless. There are two kinds of souls, namely the minute particle soul, Anu Atma, and the super soul, the Vibhu Atma. This is also confirmed in the Kathopanishad. Anor aniyan mahato mahiyan atmanasha jantur nihito guyayam tam akratu pashyati vita shoko datu prasadan mahimanam atmanaha. Both the super soul Paramatma and the atomic soul Jivatma are situated in the same tree of the body within the same heart of the living being. And only one who has become free from all material desires, as well as lamentations, can, by the grace of the Supreme, understand the glories of the soul. Krishna is the fountainhead of the super soul also, as it will be disclosed in the following chapters. And Arjuna is the atomic soul, forgetful of his real nature. Therefore, he requires to be enlightened by Krishna, or by his bona fide representative, the spiritual master. Yeah, so this text is, as we were just reading, basically, this is the first main teaching here in the Gita. And as Prabhupada's writing in his purport, he's just, giving all these different examples about how the soul is indeed eternal, and that the body is actually separate from the soul. And we are not a soul. We don't have a soul. We are a soul. And these points here are helping us understand that with our intelligence. And before we can understand anything beyond who is God, or why am I here? What's my meaning for life? None of these. Prabhupada is just here in this purport describing that we're not this body. This body is a damn bag full of stool, blood, bones, all these horrible things. And that's what we're thinking we are. We're thinking we're this bag of all these, revolting substances. But the real identity is the soul, which is full of bliss, full of happiness, full of peace. It's eternal. It never was born. We never have to go through, growing up and learning math, or learning how to chew, or learning how to walk, or let alone going and learning how to be a manager at a store, or learning how to deal with arthritis, or all these miserable things that come with the body, because it's not the real identity. The real identity is the soul. So we have to understand that. And if we can understand that, we can begin to understand real spiritual life. So Prabhupada here is trying to help us understand that. And he gives some very nice points. There was one that I really liked here. That he's describing that the soul is full of knowledge, or always with consciousness, and consciousness is a symptom of the soul. So we can understand like that consciousness is what's moving this body, and that consciousness is in relation to the soul. If the soul is not present, there's no consciousness, there's no life. So, like for instance, what is the difference between a living body and a dead body? Does anybody know? Consciousness. So we can see that a dead body here, laying here on the ground, and a living body. You say, oh, like if let's say this person's name is Ted. Oh, Ted's gone. Oh, my husband Ted, he's left, he's gone, he's died. But somebody maybe who's just not seeing, but he's right there. His body's right here. What do you mean he's gone? He's right here. No, it's the fact that his soul, therefore his consciousness, has left his body. Therefore we say he's gone, because that body is now useless. There's no way we can inject life back into that. It's gone, and it will always be gone, and that soul has continued to go somewhere else. So we have to understand that we are the soul and that the soul is eternal. And then we can begin to understand Krishna's mother teachings here in this Bhagavad Gita, about devotional service, about yoga, meditation, but all of these things, once again, are based with that I am not this body. Does anybody have any questions based on that, or does this all make sense? Is there any sort of confusion so far? How is consciousness a symptom? Let's see if Prabhupada says anything here. Even if one does not find the soul within the heart, where he's situated, one can still understand that the presence of the soul simply by the presence of consciousness. Sometimes we do not find the sun in the sky owing to clouds or for some other reason, but the light of the sun is always there, and we are convinced that it is therefore daytime. As soon as there's little light in the sky early in the morning, we can understand that the sun is in the sky. So it's, I guess, similar to this sun example is we know that the sun exists because of the light that's coming out during the daytime. So therefore, consciousness, consciousness and then thoughts and actions and personality are from this living entity. Therefore, if that being is living, then this symptom, this light from the sun is there too. So that would be a symptom of the soul, or you could even consider it life, like back to the dead body and the living body example, that we could consider also that the presence of the soul or the presence of life means that there's some consciousness there in that body. So in that way, we can see that the symptom of this soul or life is that it can think, it can do things, it can will, it can ask questions, it can ask these sorts of things. Does that somewhat answer your question? Okay, thank you so much. Are there any other points on this? Anybody would like to add or to say or have any questions on?
So, I was hearing that Prabhupada was mentioning that the soul is always filled with knowledge or consciousness.
Right.
And that's called Chit, Sat Chit Ananda. The soul, we'll just take a comparison. The body in this world is made out of elements of matter. Then there's the mind, intelligence, and false ego. But the soul, me, you, all of the living creatures, we are made of Sat Chit Ananda, which is totally amazing. Our real body, who we really are, is not made out of earth, water, fire, etc. It's made out of eternity. It's made out of knowledge or consciousness or awareness. It's made out of bliss. And our body is made out of that because we are a small part of Krishna, and his body is made of those substances. That was just a comment. Thank you for tolerating.
Thank you so much. This is a very good point. That the soul, its real identity, is always in eternity, knowledge, and bliss. So I can tell that I'm not there right now because I'm suffering. Some people will even say that I'm not suffering. Oh, I'm enjoying. I'm living a happy life. But, these people, they still get hungry. They still have to use the toilet. They still have to sleep. They still, have to work at these things, which is subtle suffering. Now, if I'm enjoying fully, then I don't have to sleep. I can continue enjoying, or I can continue eating this nice food, but I'll get full. So therefore, there's always some sort of subtle suffering, even if we're not able to fully rationalize that we can understand that this body is indeed a place of suffering. Because if you imagine what's the greatest pleasure we can get from this body? Does anybody have an example of that? What's like the topmost pleasure in this body? Yeah, that's what most people would say. And is that engaging in sexual activity is the highest pleasure. And there's also other things we can enjoy, maybe that even take us higher. Like if we take some sort of drug, we can get this like super serotonin blast, like crazy, just like pleasure. But compared to a simple activity of pain, like let's just say cutting off the tip of my pinky finger, that's an incredibly, I've never experienced that, but I could imagine, like I've had just like a paper cut, and that's horrible. Imagine getting just the tip of your pinky cut off, and that's like not that bad. Like there's so many worse things that could happen to you. Like there's so like medieval, I used to be really into like medieval torture and things like, not like into it, but I used to find it interesting. Like that people would, do these things to other human beings. And this is like horrible, the things they would do, like this suffering that can be inflicted on this body. So in that way, we can understand this body we can't even enjoy. Yeah, we're trying to just enjoy this body, but we can't even do it. And this goes back to this same point, why can't we enjoy it? Because it's not us. It's not the real identity. But when you come, for instance, to this temple, or you're at home and you're engaging in, spiritual activities, whether it's chanting Hare Krishna, reading these sacred books, or just simply honoring spiritual food stuff, you actually get like this pleasure that you don't get anywhere else, and it doesn't leave you and feeling dry in the end, and it's much better. It's not just this like up and down, like that's kind of how our material world is, like, oh, this feels good, it doesn't feel good, this feels good, now it don't feel good. But when we engage in spiritual activity, we're actually tasting real pleasure. I heard an example from my spiritual master that the pleasure here in this material world, imagine if I just were to grab a hammer and just start beating my head over and over and over and over again, and I'm just beating it up, and I'm pouring blood down, and my skull's all bashed in. And then somebody comes and asks me, why are you doing that? Why are you beating your head? It's like you're causing yourself so much pain and suffering. But I just say, well, when I stop, it feels so good. It's amazing when I stop beating myself in the head. It's like, wow, like I'm not feeling pain anymore. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm not getting hit with the head with the hammer anymore. So that's what the pleasure like here is in this material world. We're completely suffering. It's a completely horrible place. We go work 8 hours a day, wherever that is, and we come back home, and it's like, yeah, I'm enjoying because I can now turn on Netflix and everything's good. We're just not hitting ourselves anymore. It's still not something we're enjoying, but it's something we're not suffering as bad by doing. So that's what it's like here. But we don't have to live like that. Why would we live like that when we have this higher knowledge? So if we've come here to this temple, or we've come in contact with these books, we've come in contact with some sort of spiritual wisdom, then we can understand intellectually that that's not, we don't have to do that. Why would I'm cheating myself if I'm thinking I can enjoy this damn rotting body. I'm completely cheating myself, and I'm cheating other people too, because I'm teaching them that they can enjoy this material body as well. Simply by my actions, then they think too that, oh yeah, look at this guy. He's a billionaire and he's got all these nice, women around him. He's got like 4 yachts and 30 different sports cars and mansions and whatever. And then we all glorify them because now they're, well, wow, like I would be enjoying that. But for instance, like Jeff Bezos just divorced his wife recently, so you can tell he's actually not enjoying. He's still thinking he can enjoy something better with, as well as my wife. I can't enjoy with her, so just get rid of her. So that's kind of the mentality here in the material world. So by thinking that way, we're totally cheating ourselves. So let's not cheat ourselves. Let's try to intellectually understand that I'm not this body. And what does that mean, that I'm not this body? Then what? Then what do I do? What do I do after that? I'm not this body. I'm a spiritual soul. So what? I'll just go and live in the mountains, and I'll just renounce everything, and I'll just give everything up, and just merge into nothingness and just be super still and camouflage myself into nature. Does that sound good? You think that's a good idea? You think that's a good idea? Well, let me tell you, kind sir, that actually is not going to bring us the highest pleasure. We may not experience as much suffering as we were before, but right here in this book, the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is in a similar situation where he wants to do that. He's in a war. He's in the middle of this battlefield, and he has to go kill his family, like his brothers, his cousins. He has to go murder them, and he's spiritually advanced, so he doesn't want to do that. He's like, no, this is my family. I don't want to. I like a himsha. Like I don't want to hurt. And Krishna's like, man, what are you talking about? You can't do that. You're a warrior. Arjuna, you are a warrior. This is your duty. Your duty is to fight, and your duty is to be a good leader for society. So my advice to you is you pick up that bow and you go and you kill your family. But understand that, once again, you're not the body. Your family, they're not their body. They're just in a temporary place. And the situation that it appears to be that, this person's very dear to me and things. And they can be. They are very dear to us. Our family is very dear to us. But, if we're put in this situation, he's telling Arjuna that don't lament. That even if you don't believe in the soul, even if you don't believe in God, even if you think that everything is black once you die, then there's still no reason to lament. Even if you think like that, because when that person dies, then what was the meaning of that whole life? But he gives him the examples and the knowledge that he is a soul and that he doesn't need to lament, because he's doing this as a service to Krishna or as service to God. And if he does win, then he's a good man. He didn't want to go kill his family, but he's doing it out of duty. And therefore there was a lot of turmoil going on in this kingdom. So he can reestablish religious dharma, or correct ways of living, and therefore bring peace to the planet again. So we can, if Arjuna can pick up his bow and he can go and fight this war, and basically everybody dies in the end, and if he can do that, then we can go on with our duties too, and understand that it's not that difficult. We can go on with our duties knowing that I'm a spiritual being, and that simply whatever I do, I just need to offer back to Krishna, offer back to God. And in that way, I'll be satisfied. Everybody will be satisfied, just like watering the root of a tree. It's a very good example. I can water the root of this tree, and the whole tree becomes nourished. Not only the tree, but also the tree then becomes shelter for birds, flowers, fruits, and then I can sit under this tree And I can have some shade when it's hot, or the tree could even, be used for so many other things like wood and things like that. But if I just go and I drop a few drops of water on every leaf, every branch, then that tree's gonna die. So we're starving the soul by not understanding that I'm a soul and that I'm not this body. So let's use our intelligence, friends, and let's engage in divine service of Krishna and reawaken our original identities as spiritual beings rather than these temporary rotting bodies.
Humble obeisances.
Please accept mine.
I just had a comment.
Jai.
We've all got to accept authority from somewhere, and most people are accepting authority from the leaders of society, maybe politicians and doctors, teachers, things like that. But you just go to the doctor's office once and you realize that this person's imperfect, or the scientist who's creating weapons so he can afford an apartment and eat McDonald's. This person's clearly imperfect. Whereas Krishna, he's perfect. He's transcendental. His whole being is Satchidananda. There's no division. He doesn't have a material body. He doesn't have a material mind. It's all spiritual. And he says that beyond the senses is the mind, and beyond the mind is the intelligence. And we can see that we use our intelligence to dissect everything in this world and analyze everything. Okay, I understand that when my car is broken, that there's a part, and I can replace that part and it works, Or my computer is not turning on. Maybe it's not plugged in. Let me plug it in. It's still not turning on. Maybe there's a part that I can replace. I can replace it and it turns on. But the body is not like that. In certain circumstances, there may be an easily fixable thing. You lose an organ and you replace it. And like that it's working. But once the body completely fails, what do you do? We can use our intelligence to understand the senses and the physical body, but we can't use it to understand the mind. And we can use the intelligence to even understand the intelligence. But there's something beyond that, is the soul. And you can't come to that platform using your intelligence. No scientist has been able to do that. It's only the yogi in devotional service who actually understands that, because he's come to that platform, because he accepts the authority of the supreme authority, Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Jai, let's transcend the body and understand those points. Hare Krishna.
In the middle of the class, you're saying that if I do my work, then I'm suffering for like 6 hours of the day. But then at the end, you were saying that I should just do my duty. So I'm wondering, how do I actually find enjoyment? I'm confused.
How do you find enjoyment? What? Sorry. You're asking because I said that I was suffering at work, and then
my duty was suffering. But then at the end, you're saying
I see.
I should do my duty.
Right. But if we do the duty in the right state of consciousness, then we'll actually enjoy, rather than if I'm thinking that I'm suffering for 6 hours, and then when I'm done, I'm gonna go enjoy, then I'm suffering either way. But if I can understand that this is my duty, I just have to perform this, and the result's not mine. It's actually up to Krishna, to my guru, my teachers. If I can offer my result, then actually that austerity actually becomes blissful. Like there's many people, like I have a god brother that works very long day at Microsoft, all day, every day, sometimes on the weekends too, just sitting on his computer. And to me, I'm like, that looks like a horrible situation, but he's always like super happy all the time, because he's doing that as, okay, this is my service that my spiritual master has given me. And, this is my duty, so I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it just because that's what I'm being asked to do. And I'm doing it as a service, a spiritual service. So then that state of suffering becomes actually a state of bliss for him. But we have to have that state of consciousness. We can't just just be like, oh, this, but if we do it in the right state of mind for service to Guru and Krishna, then it can become a blissful experience at every moment. Does that clear up any contradiction I may have said?
Yes.
Jai. Does anybody else have any questions? I think we might have a couple of minutes left.
You were saying that, to do our duty in a way that's actually blissful, we do the service given to us by a spiritual master or Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, but then one might ask how they can also have the bliss if they don't yet have like a spiritual master or something. Someone might ask that.
So how we can feel that if we don't have a personal guru?
Yeah, or like what's the first step to acting in this way where you're saying by your consciousness you're feeling bliss in your activities?
Well, it definitely might take some time because we're totally conditioned. I still totally think I'm the body. I still totally think that this work is for my enjoyment and this money is for my enjoyment. But we can take Krishna's instructions to Arjuna. I mean, this is the Parampara system, so we can take this as instructions and we can follow Krishna's guidance even if I don't have a personal guru at this moment. But we can also aspire to find one and follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. And, eventually we can totally taste that form of bliss and ecstasy, but we also have to, in our free time, even when we're not in that yagya of working like a dog, then we also have to still understand that I'm still not the body when I'm not there, and that when I'm free from that, I don't go to the cinema or I don't go to the brothel or the liquor store or whatever. Like I understand still that I'm not this body, and that was my duty to do. But right now, I still have a duty also, and my duty at this time is to reawaken love, pure love for God. That's the meaning of life. So how do we do that? Then we're not there. Then we should chant Hare Krishna. We should read the ancient sastras as much as possible and try to engage in spiritual activity, rather than this like kind of indirect way of like doing this material thing for like a job for using that to attain spiritual realization. It's definitely easier to absorb yourself in kirtan or chanting the Lord's name. So when we're not there at that place, then we should spend our time then. And Srila Prabhupada and my guru both say that no matter what you're doing, no matter where you're working, doesn't matter if you're brahmachari, grihasta, vanaprastha, sannyasi, that you wake up and you chant your rounds. You chant Hare Krishna before the sun rises, the Brahma Muhurta hour, no matter what ashram you're in, no matter what material arrangement you're in, still, that if you do that, then you'll have the most blissful experience every single day. So that is actually, if you don't have a guru, that's an instruction from a guru right there, that if you do that, then you will attain that level of peace. So that's not from me, that's from my spiritual master, giving that instruction to people who are listening to his classes. Does that help? Okay.
So why does it? So if Krishna teaches, the first teaching is that we're not this body, we're a spirit soul. So why does it matter whether or not Arjuna kills and fights in the war, or he leaves?
Well, Krishna gives him the choice. Actually, Krishna does give him the choice. So Arjuna is using his intelligence because he listened to all of this was God's advice. So he used his intelligence to go through with that. Although he does give him the choice. Yeah, you go, you do what you want. You go renounce the world, go live in the mountains if you want. But why would we do that? If we've read the Bhagavad Gita, if we've understood all this, then that's an act of independence, thinking that I know better. Like you were saying, your comment is that you always have an authority. So this is the ultimate authority, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is telling us this, So if we're intelligent, then that's what we'll do. We'll do what he says. And then actually, it's just like, for example, like I put just a grain of faith. I don't have any faith, but if I can put a tiny little grain of faith, then I can, because you can imagine, like, if I go and I ask some random person on the side of the street, hey, how do I get to, I don't know, let's say what's some, like Minneapolis. How do I get to Minneapolis? And he's going to tell me that I don't know the way to Minneapolis. So I'm just going to make something up. That you go down the Paseo North, and then you take a left on what's that? Emmanuel Cleaver, and you go down, and then you'll hit the highway, and then you'll go take a right, and then you'll pass like a purple McDonald's, and like what? Like a purple. Anyway, you have a little bit of faith, and then you go. You say, oh yeah, there's Cleaver, and then there's a highway. Whoa, there is a purple McDonald's. So you keep going, and you follow his instructions, and then you gain more and more and more faith as you go. So even just a little bit in the beginning, half a grain, a quarter grain is okay, and you trust that, and then as you go along, you see, oh wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. Like, I am actually experiencing what he told me that I would experience. So I forgot your question, but I hope that answered it. Bhakta David Ki Jai.
Janavittatavane Jagamanalopa Dakine nitai chan Pamegadadhara Nikate Advaita Shrini Vasa Chatradara Moshe Ache Gorachan Ratna Simhasane Arati Korin Brahma Adi Devagane Narahari Hari Kori Chamaradulaya Sanjaya Mukunda Basu Goshadigaya Shanka Bhaji Kanta Bhaji Bhaji Karatala Madhura Mridhanga Bhaji Ramarasala Mahukati Chandra Jini Vadana Ujvala Galadeshi Vannamala Kore Jalamala Shiva Shuka Narada Premigadagada Bhakati Vinodadeke Gorara Sampada Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Can I trade you? Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajak Acharya Ashtotar Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajak Acharya Charya Ashtotar Shata Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Pralada Lada Daine. Hiranyakashipur Bhaksha. Shila Tanga Nakalaye. To Nasima Badato Nasimo. Yato Yato Yamitato Nasima. Ahi Nasimho Hridaya Nasimho. Narasimhamadi Sharanam Prapadye. Davakara Kamalavare Nakam Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringa Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare. Lord Nrsimhadev ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, dear devotees, for being here, giving your time and energy for Krishna's service. This is important because this is the highest welfare work for all of society, all the creatures, especially the human beings. This movement is specifically meant to cast a benediction rays, which actually alleviate all suffering in this material world. It's a new year, right? In the spiritual world, every single day, every single moment is new. It's called Nava Nava Rasa. You can experience pleasure, which is newer and newer, fresher and fresher, by service to Krishna. That is exemplified by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who we worship daily in RVC Temple. And you may also do so at home. That is the recommendation. So we take shelter of them by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. and we make nice vegetarian food, sattvic food, all pure, very clean process with the consciousness. Let me prepare this nice food for my Lord Sri Krishna. We offer it in that consciousness, and then we honor that prasadam. Prasadam ki jai! So we get purified of all impurities from these two processes. This is the beginning. And we're so fortunate because we like these things. It's not hard. Okay? So we'll actually have some prasadam now. Shankar Prabhu, whenever we get up, we can do the arrangements. Thank you for supporting us. If anybody would like to offer support for a Sunday feast, either this week or in the future, partial or full amount, up to $251 for all devotees and the Lord to have nice feast, please let us know. And if you'd like to contribute in any way, just contact us, let us know, speak to us. And we thank you again for your support. And now let us have prasadam. So we can all stand up and we'll form a line from here, going to the prasadam table. Please have a seat where you're comfortable.